We always hear that we should be scared of recession, but what if that's completely the wrong way to look at it? Today, we're going to break down 8 common financial traps that are holding most people back, and how avoiding them isn't just about surviving, it's about building some serious wealth. Whoa. Okay, that's a pretty bold statement, right? While most people are hunkering down and just trying to get by, the source material we're looking at today sees this moment as a massive, massive opportunity. The idea is that when other people are losing, that's when fortunes can be made. So the real question is, how do you actually do it? But look, it's not quite that simple. You can't just sit back and wait for the opportunity to land in your lap. The road to getting rich, especially when the economy is shaky, is absolutely full of pitfalls. To really take advantage of this moment, you've got to be able to spot and dodge the mistakes that trip almost everyone else up. All right, so here's the game plan. We've broken down those 8 traps into 3 big challenges. First up is your mindset. That's the internal battle. Then we've got your actions, the practical day-to-day stuff. And finally, your foundation, which is all about building a recession-proof base for yourself. Let's get right into it. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the battle that happens right between your ears. Before you can ever make smart moves with your money, you have to get a handle on the psychological traps that can completely sabotage your success before you even start. Look, it makes total sense to want to play it safe when things feel uncertain, but there's a huge difference between being careful and being completely paralyzed by fear. And for you, if you're between the ages of 20 and 50, these are your absolute peak wealth building years. Letting fear take the driver's seat right now could mean missing out on some truly life-changing opportunities. And what's so powerful about this is where it comes from. This isn't from people who tried and failed. This is from millionaires looking back on their journey. And their biggest regret? Not taking bigger, bolder chances. That just goes to show you that the pain of wondering what if can be so much worse than a calculated risk that doesn't pan out. It's really about letting ambition, not fear, be your guide. But on the flip side of being paralyzed by fear is being blinded by desperation. And that's exactly where this next trap gets you. You've seen them, right? The guy is standing in front of a rented Lamborghini, promising you the world if you just follow their simple method. They're selling a dream, and they specifically target people who don't have a lot of experience. What they conveniently leave out is that the success rate for these things is practically zero. The only people getting rich for sure are the ones selling you the course. Okay, that brings us to challenge number 2, your actions. Once you've got your head in the right place, it's the decisions you make every single day that are either going to build your wealth or destroy it. This is where it gets real. This is like investing 101, and yet it's the rule people throw out the window first during a crisis. You hear some hype about a hot stock or some new crypto coin, and suddenly that fear of missing out, FOMO, it just takes over. And yeah, it's great that there's so much information online, but you cannot bet your entire financial future on a 10-minute YouTube video. If you can't explain it to a friend, you probably shouldn't be putting your money in it. And wow, here's a powerful story from our source material. He was really tempted to invest in this fund that just seemed to be crushing it, but he couldn't figure out how they were doing it, so he passed. A year later, he found out they were using something called margin trading, basically leveraging every single investment 6 times over. Think about that. A $50,000 investment wouldn't have just gone to zero, it would have turned into a $300,000 loss. That is a terrifying lesson in why you don't invest in things you don't understand. All right, this next one might sound a little weird. I mean, aren't we supposed to be saving money? Well, yes, but there is a massive difference between being frugal and just being cheap. When it comes to things that are really important, trying to save a few bucks right now can end up costing you a fortune later. So picture this. Your car needs a repair. You can take it to the cheapest mechanic in town who might just cut some corners to give you that low price. But then a month later, you're right back in the shop paying all over again. Or even worse, that faulty repair leads to an accident. The truth is, paying a little more upfront for quality work on things that truly matter, like your safety, is actually the smarter financial move in the long run. Oh man, this is a trap that is so common. People get so caught up in looking wealthy, the flashy car, the designer clothes, that they completely sacrifice their chance to actually be wealthy. Racking up a mountain of credit card debt for a lifestyle you can't really afford is just a highway to financial disaster. You know what the real power move is? Budgeting that extra cash and investing it in your future, not in some temporary status symbol. And that leads us right into our final and, honestly, maybe the most important challenge of all. Once your mindset is right and your actions are sharp, you have to build a foundation that is rock solid. These are the traps that go right for the core of your financial stability, your income. So if you've got a steady job right now, that's awesome. You're in a great spot. But listen, in a tough economy, no job is ever 100% safe. This is not the time to be slacking off or just doing the bare minimum. Your main income is the engine of your entire wealth-building machine. Your goal should be to make yourself so valuable, so essential, that if the company has to make tough calls, you're the absolute last person they would ever dream of letting go. I'm sure you've heard about this online, right? Quiet quitting. This idea of just checking the boxes, doing only what's required, and nothing more. And while that might feel good for a little while, during a recession, it is an incredibly risky strategy. Think about it. When companies are forced to downsize, they aren't looking to keep the people who are just phoning it in. They're keeping the problem solvers, the innovators, and the people who go the extra mile. Think about it. Relying on just one paycheck, it's like trying to build a house on just one single pillar. It might feel strong, but if that one pillar cracks, the entire thing comes crashing down. A side hustle is your second pillar. It's not just about getting some extra cash. It's about building a safety net and diversifying where your money comes from. And having that second stream of income gives you incredible power. The guy behind our source material, he actually taught people how to fly model helicopters. And get this, that little side gig paid for all of his living expenses. That meant his entire salary from his main job could be invested into starting his business. Now that is how you get ahead. Okay, let's be really clear here. Payday loan companies are pretty much financial predators. They absolutely thrive when times are tough because they target people who are feeling vulnerable and desperate. They dangle this idea of fast, easy cash, but what they're really selling is a brutal cycle of debt that is almost impossible to break free from. Just look at that number, 400%. No, that is not a typo. These loans are specifically designed to be nearly impossible to repay, trapping you in this nightmare of fees and interest that just spirals and spirals. They can completely wreck your credit score for years, making it incredibly hard to do things like buy a car or a house down the road. It's a trap that's disguised as a lifeline. And there you have it. 8 financial traps, all broken down into 3 big challenges: your mindset, your actions, and your security. Just by knowing what these pitfalls are, you can stop playing defense with your money and finally start playing offense, turning this tricky economy into your personal advantage. And that's really the big takeaway here, isn't it? Knowledge is power. You now know what to watch out for, from the little psychological traps inside your own head to the predatory companies you might see on the street. And that knowledge empowers you to make smarter choices and actively build the financial future that you actually want. So, when it all comes down to it, the choice is really yours. We've laid out the map, and we've pointed out all the traps along the way. Now you have to decide. Are you going to see this moment as a threat, or are you going to see it for the massive opportunity that it really is?